Cheers. All right, welcome to episode 6 of SipTalk. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. These guys don't know what we're going to talk about yet. Let's do a quick round robin. Introduce yourself.
I'm Zane. I'm a team leader here, and I'm 24.
I'm Josh. I'm a real estate agent, and I've been in the company for a few months.
Cool.
My name's Matt. I'm one of Zane's junior agents. I'm 18, and I've been doing real estate since I turned 18.
Disclaimer. What's in your hand? What are you drinking?
Nothing.
SipTalk.
Yeah.
Arthur, I'm a team leader. I'm 24. I've been here for 3 years.
Shout out to the 24-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
18.
All right, so I want to jump right off the bat and get into the renter protection law that was passed this summertime, and I want to know how it's been affecting you guys, what you think of it. Real quick, there's a few different things about this renter protection law. Number one is landlords can no longer charge extra security deposit. They can no longer charge prepaid rent. So no more months up front to be approved. So if you have poor credit, or you don't have any credit, or you don't make enough income, or you're international, whatever the case may be, you can no longer pay extra months up front to get approved. Another part of the act is application fees are changed from no limit. They could charge you $500 to apply. Now they can only charge $20 for application fees and background checks.
Year upfront deposit.
So,
Yeah, no more years up front. 1 month deposit max. That's you capped it off.
but traditionally landlords have charged extra months of rent as extra security. So if you don't have any income, say you have a few $100,000 in the bank, but you don't have a job right now, you might want to prepay the last 3 months or something like that, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of international clients that's affected. They come here to study, their families are very wealthy, but the landlords can no longer charge extra security, so what's happening? What's happening with you guys?
Just getting fully rejected.
I mean,
Well, Matt said fully rejected.
I mean, in normal situations, they would just bad credit client would just put 2 extra months of security down and be fine. But now we're coming across they need extra security and they can't do it, and landlords just summarily reject them. There's nothing we can do about it. So we're seeing a lot of third-party guarantors come in, and it's kind of changing the market.
Yeah, so in New York, I know probably in other markets as well, but in New York we have third-party guarantors. So there's companies like The Guarantors, Insurant, Rhino. There's
Jetty.
one. Jetty is one that I was missing. But that is a cost to the renter. So the renter has to pay roughly a month. Some of them allow you to pay monthly over the course of the lease.
some more.
But it's money out of your pocket,
Yeah.
right? It's an actual additional cost.
Yeah.
So if you're prepaying rent, say you prepay the last 6 months worth of rent, that goes towards your rent.
Right.
So the last 6 months you live rent free. But
great.
now if it costs you an extra month with a lease guarantee service, it's an extra month out of pocket over the course of the year,
And you
and it's
never
right
see
off
it
the
again.
bat. You don't see it again because
Nope.
it's a cost.
Yeah.
And not here's the other part is not every landlord, the majority of landlords don't work with that.
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
I find most of those services work in the luxury high-rise buildings. Almost every luxury high-rise we do will accept some form of that. But
Or if you're like a mom and pop landlord.
if you're a small landlord, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the conditions with these services are what happens. They guarantee the lease. So if you got to jump out, you got to adjust your mic. In order for this to be any value for the landlord, if the tenant stops paying rent, so say they're 2 months late on rent, the landlord wants to evict them, this service doesn't just start paying the rent off the bat.
Yeah.
The landlord actually has to evict them first. And then the lease guarantee service will pay back. Okay, but the eviction is still on the landlord, and that could still take time.
Yep. And Rhino, they've got a really good program where it's only a monthly fee. You know, it's not a big upfront cost. So what we're seeing is Rhino charges $10 a month for a $2,500 apartment. but most landlords still don't accept it because they're so old school. We still don't even do electronic signatures. Everything's got to be wet signatures, original copies, everything like that.
But-
It's such
but
an old school market.
Let me ask you from the landlord's perspective, before you could charge 3 months extra security, and you knew you were good, because if they stopped paying rent, it may take you 3 months to evict them. In New York, it could literally take you 6 to 8 months
Right.
to evict somebody. But if you're asking that, if you're going to take the Rhino, but you're going to ask that person to pay $10 extra a month, that's a very low barrier to somebody who's underqualified.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. Rhino's got a great program.
Yeah, but is the landlord feeling more secure with somebody who's willing to only pay $10 a month? That's
I don't know the underwriting
I have a
that goes
question for you, though.
behind it.
Your client that got Rhino, were they American? Were they have American credit?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my client that had Rhino, they had to pay Rhino $8,000.
What?
okay. So,
Yeah,
but that's how their underwriting works.
Wow.
You know, it really depends. But that's a nice. I mean, it is right now. It's the only way people are getting approved with these new laws. But I think prepaying 3 months of rent towards the back end of the lease is a good thing.
I thought about what you said, though, a couple weeks ago. You said 1/3 of your business is international.
I would say about 30% of our business is international people, which are people coming here with no social security numbers. I have somebody today, I worked with her 7 years ago. She's moved to Australia. She just came back. She's been back for a week. We sat down today and trying to figure out how we can get her approved. Her budget is not affording her a landlord that's going to take one of these lease guarantee services, and she just sold her home. She's got a ton of money in the bank ready to prepay rent, but she can't do it. It's illegal. But yeah, I don't know what the international people are doing. Well, I know we had a ton of clients who ended up crashing on people's sofas, and I talked to a lot of other real estate agents in the field that their clients tried to try to apply, and they weren't approved. So
Now, what's the benefit of this, though? Who's it benefiting?
who's it benefiting? Well, real quick, anybody who's live, if you guys want to ask questions, these guys will shout out the questions. Feel free to say hi, chime in. But really, if you have questions, that'd be great. So we have some additional participants.
Yeah, something.
So give me that again.
Who's it benefiting?
Who's the lease guarantee service benefiting?
Yes.
Well, it's guaranteeing. It's guaranteeing the lease
No,
for
no,
a tenant
no,
who is
no.
Otherwise underqualified.
Why was the law passed? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Why was the law passed?
Because they thought it was going to benefit the consumer.
So I had a friend that reached out to me. She actually posted on her story when the law was passed. Great news! Now effectively, great news. My credit's shit. Now landlords can't take advantage of me. So then I replied to her story. I said, now landlords aren't going to charge you extra security deposit for the
they won't
apartment.
give you the
They're just
apartment.
going to tell you no.
Exactly.
Right.
And she's like, oh shit. But that's exactly the case. That's exactly what's happening. And in my opinion, people are getting fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
And
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would rather my client come to me and prepay 3 months security deposit, which they get back at the end of the lease,
Yeah.
or prepay the last 2 months worth of rent, which they live rent free for the last 2 months, than pay a month of rent somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. I
It makes
definitely agree.
sense.
It makes sense.
I don't really see the benefit at all.
Me neither.
I think if you don't have great credit and somebody asks you to prepay rent, that's very reasonable,
Yeah.
right?
Very
But
true.
if you're not from here, you can't.
I mean,
You have no credit.
exactly, that's
You
the
have
cost.
money.
That's the the barriers of entry right there.
I agree.
Doesn't that eliminate the whole free enterprise system?
Well, it does. The application fee thing,
That's great.
I
That's great. Well-
I disagree with it, but I see the benefit for the consumer.
For the consumer, because before this happened, we were seeing a lot of landlords just stack as many applications as they could, charge $200 in app fees on a 4-bedroom apartment. That's $800 per. That's
Yeah,
$800
yeah.
per
Application.
application.
Art, if you block the other cameras,
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get a good angle. That's all.
So it was $800 per group that applied. So that's great in that case, but there are still some instances.
now if it costs $20 to do a credit check and you're just passing that cost on to the renter, cool, I get that. But I've watched many agents sit in our office until 2 o'clock in the morning putting together applications for a 4-bedroom apartment, which means you have effectively the application will go out like this big.
Yep.
And if you're working with guarantors,
Yeah.
and you have husband-wife guarantors, different
that.
bank statements. I've shipped applications in FedEx boxes. Okay, because it's too big for a fax. It's too big for an email.
Yep.
Then we got that person in, like,
But for that
upstate.
agent, for that deal not to go through because a tenant lied about their credit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or something that you didn't know about, or even something you did know about, but we were taking a chance. For somebody to make $0, but to spend a week with somebody and all this time doing an application,
We're putting it on all.
it's a processing
It
fee.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
What's that?
Someone asked a question. He's a young agent, willing to move. How can he benefit from you, Justin?
You should set up an interview so we can discuss in person. I think that'd probably be the best way. All right, Jonathan. Send me that email, Justin at DiGiulio NYC.
.NYC?
.NYC.
.NYC.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the new one.
Yeah, DiGiulio.com is taken by somebody who sells celebrity autographs.
Wow.
I messaged him on Facebook, email. I think I called his house phone.
Whatever works.
The guy,
But
he's
it
never
didn't
answered
work.
me. I've been doing it for years.
He's hiding from you.
What's it? Justin at DiGiulio.NYC. But you're also looking at my Instagram, so send me a DM. I will get back to you.
I have a question about those new rent laws. Didn't they have a cap with the amount of money landlords can use for renovations?
So these are some of the things that I'm not 100% on because that's really not on the brokerage side.
Right.
But that is part of it, and it also affects how much they can raise the rent.
Oh.
So we have landlords that somebody moved out of the apartment who's been there for 8 years. The apartment's kind of trashed, but the rent is, let's say, $1,900 on a otherwise what would be now a $2,900 apartment. They can't bring it up to $2,900 because the apartment's trashed, and if they put $40,000 worth of work into it, they're still not going to get the extra $1,000, right?
Oh my God.
So they're not
Yeah.
doing shit to the
That's
apartment.
painful.
They're not doing shit to the apartment.
I saw,
Well,
I saw one of those.
who did a
yesterday.
$1,500 apartment?
Yeah.
You just did one in Midtown.
Yeah.
Oh, the
What?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Say,
Well, studio, right?
We have a Terry Vincent here. Jane, he loved your socks.
Yes.
So Arthur just did. We talked the last time we were here that Arthur did one of his first deals was a super cheap apartment in a part of Manhattan that is pretty cheap. He just did probably less money on this deal. The rent was less because it was a rent stabilized apartment and they couldn't raise the rent, and the Tenant Protection Act
Yeah.
didn't protect any tenants because they had moved out,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
Right. Right.
So this is somebody.
So-
So basically, they just can't charge market rate on the apartment.
makes sense.
yeah. That's a good
But
point,
what, so
actually.
was that the basis of your question?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look into that. Maybe in a future podcast we can discuss kind of the landlord side of it. Maybe we'll get a landlord in here,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's not a
figure
bad
that out. What else you guys have? No more questions on live?
Nope, none so far.
All right.
No more about my socks.
Audience.
What's next, Mr. Agenda Man?
I mean, yeah, but I really kind of want to milk this renter protection law because I feel like we can't convey to people
Well-
how badly they're being fucked by this law. And I sat down.
they don't realize it.
But it sells really well. You no longer, if your credit's lousy, landlords can no longer charge you extra.
You just can't live in the city.
The landlords just say, "Fuck you."
But what do people look at though? They're saving money.
They're not. But
No. Think about it from a person's point of view. You're saying, one, I don't have to pay $150 for an application fee, $20, right? Then you're saying, what? I don't have to pay more up for security or for rent a year up front. I don't have to pay all that. I get what you're saying, but from a person's point of
Let me
view,
give you a
And
good
then you're
example.
saying- you're
Let me
saying-
give you a good example. All right, you make $60,000 a year. You go to Bloomingdale's, everything seems expensive. All right, you're charging a premium, right? But you don't make enough money. All right, so Bloomingdale says, we're not just going to charge expensive prices anymore. All right, we're just closing our doors to you. If you make less than 60 grand a year, you make less than 100. Set the mark wherever you want. They just say, "Fuck you. You can't pay to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You can't pay to play."
Oh, you're not good enough.
I mean, that's not a great analogy, but to me it feels the same.
It's relevant, though.
It feels the same. Because if your credit is less than 680, landlords are telling you to fuck yourself.
Yep.
Or they're going to tell you to go to another service, which is going to charge you additionally. And I love these services. I actually think they're great for internationals, number one. We have
Shout out to
internationals.
Karen
First thing
Torres.
I say is go there. But it doesn't work for everybody because they also, they charge people who have lousy credit more. Or maybe somebody has 800 credit, but they only make 40 grand a year. and their parents are paying for it, but they don't want to guarantee it, or their parents are in another country, the landlord doesn't accept an international guarantor.
Let's see.
Yeah. And the more expensive apartments are accepting these services. The less expensive ones aren't.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess in a way they kind of still are spending more money.
It ruins the whole concept of America.
I mean, yeah,
It does, because it
It's
changes that
capitalism.
free market, it changes the capitalist. It's 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 the laws.
Yep. I understand why they did it. I don't think they thought it through fully.
Well, I exchanged a lot of emails with the councilman that did it.
Yep.
There's another woman who's involved in it. I haven't even seen her.
Were they disgruntled renters?
What's that?
Were they disgruntled renters?
I have a feeling that he was. I'd like to hear more of his personal story and why he's so passionate about it. But he just spent the entire meeting. We were in there for like an hour and a half, just backpedaling and explaining that that it was still going to help people, and it wasn't going to hurt the brokers or the people as bad as we seem to think that it would. But I can tell you, 5 months in, we've been fucked as brokers because our business has been hurt, and renters have been fucked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Puts us in a predicament.
I mean, I feel like it definitely, like, since the application fees are so low, remember that one client we showed her the luxury buildings in Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she was applying on every single one.
Yeah.
So it was like, and then you're putting all these applications together all in just for them to be like, oh, I put another one in with another broker.
Yeah.
And then all that work you put in just out of the drain.
And you're lowering your credit score at that.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking
Well, your
dings.
credit's getting
Well,
checked left, right, and
Ding,
center
ding,
as well.
ding, ding.
Well, I won't go into that. But
All right. Instagram, Facebook, red wine or white wine?
Red wine or white wine?
Archie, what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking anything.
Good idea. Gala's drinking white. Gala's drinking champagne. Raj, can you give me Gala's glass? So I will tell you, it may be,
white.
Switch it up.
they say that red wine puts you to sleep, and then people say that's not true. But I can tell you 100%, whenever I have red wine, it puts me right to sleep.
Really?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Makes you feel groggy a bit.
Every time.
It's probably due to
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's a higher alcohol
Matt?
content. I mean,
You want the whole bottle?
Yeah, totally.
yeah, keep that away from Matt. He's been pretty good, but
He has been good.
red wine or white wine?
White.
White. But traditionally, you would go straight for white?
No, it really depends on the mood.
Okay.
Like if I'm indoors, if I'm at home, I'll take a little bit of white. But if I'm out and about, going to events, I prefer red.
Yeah. Any particular?
Really?
Nothing in particular.
No. Not a connoisseur. See, I'm a lover of wine, but not a connoisseur.
Yeah.
So I feel you on that.
I accept all
Matt,
brands.
Red or white?
Honest.
It's November 28th, and you're sitting with your family around a turkey. Which wine are your parents going to serve you in a glass?
Probably sangria, of course.
Sangria.
That is the only wine I think I've ever seen in my house.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's
You know,
more.
sangria isn't a type of wine,
Right.
right?
All right, well, you guys can tell.
Well, fair enough. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
They're very young.
We're clipping that. That's the intro.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter to me.
totally not.
Doesn't matter to me. I prefer red though. I prefer red though.
You prefer red? Any particular blend of red?
No. I don't.
Josh, what was the red wine that you got? Oh, Cabernet.
Oh, Cabernet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the recommendation from the clerk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
This one sells the most.
job.
We have a liter bottle. Remember that bottle? The bottle you turn it upside down, it looks like a rose?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
What is it? Gerard Bertrand Cote de Roses or something like that?
Oh, Costa Provence.
Is that what it is? You
Yeah.
said that fast, I couldn't re-say that.
Costa Provence.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
We'll throw a picture up somewhere.
Get out.
No, yeah, Rosh will put a link in the YouTube.
Excuse me.
Say
Excuse me.
that one more
Your
time.
French accent.
Close.
one more time.
Can we get that on mic, please?
ASMR.
Excuse me.
Do we
Probably
get
better that
anything
way.
else on live?
No.
Oh, shit.
We have an audience though.
Oh, that's good.
Speak
all right,
up,
cool.
audience.
Yes, please speak up.
Okay.
We're here.
One sec. Hey everyone, I'm RT. Feel free to speak up, ask questions. We want to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Artie. One more thing I want to talk about today is getting clients to meet in the office. So with our company, we're really big on getting people into the office before we run out and show apartments. I understand for some people, rentals are kind of, small potatoes, and they just want to call an agent and go meet at the apartment. If they don't like it, move on with their life. But here we're really more about working with the client. We're not a door opening agency, we're a real estate agency. And whether you're working the landlord side, you're doing a lot of work for that landlord. You're sitting down with the landlord, you're going over pricing, you're marketing, you're advertising, you're spending a lot of time in that property. When you're on the tenant side, somebody contacts you to see something, you have no prior relationship. A lot of agents just run straight to the apartment, open the door. If that person doesn't like it, they don't like it, they move on with their Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday afternoon, Friday morning, whatever it might be. I'm completely against that because I want to take care of the tenant side of things, the renter side of things. Just like with sales, if somebody's interested in buying, I want to sit down with them, make sure financing's in line, figure out exactly what they're looking for, rather than just saying, let me show you 3 random places.
Either way, it's time consuming. Either way you look at it.
Yeah. The point is, though, when you have a renter client who wants to work with you, they want to see a property, what I want to do is get them to the office first so we can go over their criteria. Now, if there's one place they want to see, we'll make sure they see that because, as you guys know, across the board, if I ever caught anybody bait and switching people, I'd kick them out of the office. So if there's one place they want to see, I want them to see that place. But typically, 9 out of 10 people don't rent the apartment that they contact us for.
True.
So I want to sit down with somebody for 5 or 10 minutes first, go over their criteria. I'll show them the one they contacted us for, but then move on to the next.
Yeah.
And the next, if need be. But I need to know before I start showing you the next what's going to be up your alley, what's going to meet your criteria. But we get a lot of pushback on that. So I wanted to kind of get your guys' perspective on the type of pushback that you're getting, and maybe somebody who's looking for an apartment will be watching this at some point and fully understand the value in sitting down with a real estate agent first before just running and opening doors.
I think, just to touch base on that real quick, and I'll let you guys talk, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that we don't get paid hourly. We get paid on a commission. So our interests are aligned. If I don't find you a great apartment, I don't make any money. So if I don't show you the best apartment, that'd be silly. That wouldn't make any sense to me. It wouldn't make any sense to you.
Well,
I'm not being a good real estate agent.
Renter wants to see the best place for them, and you want to show them the best place.
Exactly.
For them. The thing is, they don't know when they contact you, the place that they're contacting you for may not be the best place for them.
Right. Well, the market changes every minute. Every minute, there's 13,000 listings on the market right now in Manhattan alone. So, I mean, the market changes every minute. So, one second they could inquire on this apartment, but another apartment could hit the market that we don't have pictures of. And we don't know about it until they get to the office and we sit down with them and figure out exactly what they're looking for. Because they can inquire an apartment that's on 150th Street, but they could be looking up to 190th Street, and the one on 190th is a brand new one that we don't know about, they don't know about, and that's the best one. And that's why we do the office meeting, is to figure out exactly what they want, and we come to a conclusion. Thank you. And that's the ultimate basis for it. It's not to waste anyone's time. It's to save time, essentially. And it might seem like a time waste, but I promise you it's not. It's for the better of everyone.
No, you're a real estate agent. You're rich. That's how they all think. Like, I remember.
Yeah, great.
But I think the biggest thing is people feel like they're being baited and switched, and I think there's so much bait and switch out there.
There's a ton.
But
I don't think that. I think people just don't take what we do seriously.
I agree.
Because, like, I feel like
100%.
it's like...
Well, if we rent 90% of our clients' apartments that are not the apartment they contacted us on, that means...
Probably say it's more
that
than
means 90% of it is actually our
I
experience
get what
in
you're
business.
saying, but think about it with people. You ask them, when real estate comes to mind, what do you think? Oh, it's a scam, or you want my money, but it's not the truth.
So before I moved up here, I was selling cars in Charleston, South Carolina, and when I moved up here, I very quickly realized that the public's perception of real estate agents in New York City,
sucks.
we are the used car salesmen of New York City.
Yeah.
We're not, I promise you, but that's the
Sleazy.
public's perception of us, and I don't really know how we change that.
Just think about it. How many people you meet, they tell you, are we going to see the actual apartment? Or they're like, oh yeah, I saw this apartment on Street Easy and it wasn't the actual apartment, or it was a phony listing, or he didn't show me what I wanted to see. And then you genuinely like, I'm going to show you what you contacted me on, and then it's hard for them to believe.
Yeah.
That actually happened to me today.
Yeah.
But I think that's the value of the office meetings. If you can get somebody here, you guys can get on the same page. I think it's impossible to do by text or Facebook Messenger
Oh yeah,
or something like
I agree
this.
with what you're saying. Think about
Totally
this.
impossible.
Think about this. You see an apartment that's $2,000, right? you already know you're gonna have to pay the security and you're gonna have to pay the rent. That's really $4,000. So say if you meet me in the street and you're like, yeah, you gotta sign these papers and you don't know where I work.
Right.
I could give you a phony business card. You don't even know if I'm licensed.
I was at the
Like-
bank in maybe 2014, maybe 2012 or something like that. And I remember there was 3 dudes. They were probably like 26 years old-ish, and they had shown up at an apartment. Galen, when did we start working together? What year? 2014? 15? 14. So it must have been before then. I was at the bank. 3 dudes were there, and what they had done is they had taken certified checks, and they had paid somebody these certified checks. They showed up to the building prior. They paid. They showed up to the building with their moving van.
Oh God.
Went up to the apartment,
Sounds horrible.
and someone was living there.
Wow.
This is a financial district apartment.
Wow.
Somebody's living there,
Ooh.
and they walked into the apartment as if they owned it, and said to the people living there, "What the fuck are you doing in our house?" And the people living there said, "What the fuck are you doing at our house?" One, we're here first.
Right.
And the last time they saw it was 25 days prior, and it was empty, and now it was fully furnished. Somebody living there. And then the agent totally ghosted.
Wow.
Wow.
Of course.
And they each paid $3,600 or $3,200. Right?
Wow.
This agent made off with at least, if for around 10 grand from these people, and probably more people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
Now, I'll tell you this. One thing you told me when I first came to the company, you're like, this is a profession. And you're saying basically, are you going to street meet your doctor or an accountant at like a Starbucks or anything? Like, no, you're going to meet them at their office and conduct business. So that's how I have my approach when it comes to bringing clients over. Everybody is going to have their own rebuttal, but as a professional, it's in your best interest to actually come here.
Right. You don't call your dentist and say, "Hey, can you meet me at my house tomorrow and give me a teeth cleaning?"
Doctors do that. Some doctors do
Not
that.
a dentist.
You need to have a private
But look,
practice.
this is my 10th year in the business, and I've met thousands of agents, and I see them come and go. I can tell you agents who do street meets, and when somebody calls them, they run out to the apartment. They're not in the business in 18 months, and most of the time they're not in the business in 6 months.
I did take a street meet app today.
Yeah, great. But I'm telling you, most of the
rare.
agents that do
It's
that,
rare.
their
It's
business
rare.
model is
It's
based on that.
I've done both, and it sucked when I had to go to Inwood a couple times, and they canceled on me.
And you get all the way up
Yeah, I
there,
was like,
a 50-minute train ride,
Oh, man.
and then.
It was the
We don't
worst.
But the thing is,
we don't get paid our
Yeah.
time.
but a lot of times
Yeah.
they don't cancel.
yeah.
They just don't. They don't
Yeah,
even.
so that's
ghost
They're
Oh,
like,
you.
I'm on the
yeah.
way. You get there, and you give them the benefit of that. You text them, they don't answer.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll just wait a few minutes. And you text them, you're like, okay, now it's 15 minutes later, but they're probably still on the train.
Right.
Now, you've already
Yeah.
wasted an hour getting there. They're
Yeah.
probably still underground, so they don't have reception, which is going to change in the future. There'll be fucking reception in the fucking core of the earth.
Yeah.
But,
Can't wait.
yeah, right? But you just wait, and you just wait.
Well,
And you just
yeah.
get more miserable.
Yeah.
And more sad, and this job fucking sucks more and more by the instant,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is why I think the office meeting is so good.
agree.
If I have an agent at the apartment, and I do an office meeting with a client and send that client to the agent, I don't ever actually even expect them to show up.
Nope.
Only because I've worked with so many fucking people in the city. New Yorkers are fucking grimy, man.
Yeah, they really are.
They're really
Yeah,
grimy.
they are. They are.
I mean, just
agree.
the past 3
I
days.
mean, they're also incredible and beautiful and wonderful, but you can't tell the difference from sitting with somebody for 10 minutes.
I agree.
All right, anybody who's played Tinder and gone on a date or 2 or 3 and been ghosted will
Well,
stand behind that
I
statement.
can tell you this: being on a train with them, you could build a rapport. You
But
could
that's
get
what
to
it's
know them.
about. You need
Yeah.
to understand what's influencing their
People,
buying.
you get-
people
you get
want
to
to
know
do
them.
business with people
Do
that
they like?
they're friends
They like
with.
and they trust.
Yeah,
And
you
they
You
believe
spend
the
time
same
with
thing.
them. You get to know what they like, what they
if
want to
you,
do.
if you just meet them at the building, you're
Oh,
just
nah,
a salesperson.
nah,
You're just another statistic. You're like, all right, that's one
Just a
apartment down.
doorman.
On to the next one. You're just a doorman.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Literally, at that point.
we're so much more than that, and people don't realize that.
That's exactly what it is. We are so much
That
more
got
than
me so
people
upset.
don't realize that.
Happened to me like 3 times in one day.
Wow.
I went up there. She was like, "Yeah, I got in a car accident." I'm like, "I don't believe her." I was like, "You know what? Stuff happens."
I deal with more family emergencies and
my God, yeah.
what is it? Food sickness? What is,
Yeah.
That
Food
or
poisoning.
Food poisoning. I'm
Food
sorry.
poisoning.
I've
Yeah.
never in my real life existing in my real life existing as a human before like having to book appointments. food poisoning was not as prevalent of a thing.
Yeah.
I think, I would say like I knew maybe 70 people kind of day to day, and maybe I had like 800 Facebook friends. I'd heard of food poisoning like once in my life.
Yeah.
All right. Now that I book appointments, I take interviews, I show clients. We get food poisoning, RT. How often do we get food poisoning? At least once a day or
I
something?
had it 3 times last week.
Family emergencies? Family
On
emergencies?
a weekly basis.
Oh yeah.
I think the craziest one that we ever got was like a death. Like that.
Well, that could be real.
Yeah, we
Are you
had
real?
that.
That could
no,
be real.
it wasn't real.
That could be real.
This one in particular, we found out wasn't real.
How did you find out?
You gotta ask Mario about that one.
Of course, it has to do with Mario.
Oh, man.
Oh, Mario.
But I also feel like, from the client side of things, the clients feel like they're going to be fucked by real estate agents too.
Yeah, of course.
So,
See, think about it. You're meeting a complete stranger. I don't know you. You're gonna put money down for this place. You know, the thing to me that makes sense about the office meet is, you know where I work. Why will I play around with that?
It protects everyone.
It protects me.
let me ask you a question. On the renter or the real estate agent side, or the buyer and the real estate agent side, or the seller on the real estate agent side, you're a 105-pound female. You're beautiful. All right? And you're going to meet somebody in a not-so-great neighborhood.
Meet you at my
you're
office.
Yeah.
Or you're going to meet somebody in a great neighborhood, but in a private location.
But
behind a lockable door inside of an apartment.
But even as an individual,
With triple pane windows. Sorry, go
but
ahead.
even as yourself now, I could contact you, right? Anybody can contact you. I contact you now and I say, hey, meet me at this apartment. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna come, and I'm there with like 5, 6 guys. How are you gonna feel? Not safe.
No.
That's why we meet at the office.
we rock up at buildings where there's a fucking gang outside of the
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
And you're just like, oh, that's not a gang. It's just cousins of the
Yeah.
super.
Late at night.
It's not marijuana. I think they're burning incense.
We have a question.
Already
All right, what do you got?
Matt Farrell has a question for Zane. Where did you buy your socks?
His mom bought them.
No.
Lily bought them.
Cole, I bought them from Cole's in Goose Creek. Or no,
nice.
in Somerville, Matt.
Do we have
you know
Kohl's?
Where, you know
Is
what I'm
Kohl's in
talking
New
about.
York?
Cole,
No.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have one in my
There's
house
a Cole's in
upstate.
New York.
No, that's a count.
No,
The only one
There's a Kohl's in
the
New
only
York.
I know one in Brooklyn. That's the only one I know.
I don't.
The Marshalls on 63rd Drive in Regal Park.
Not a clue.
But if Marshall
yeah,
sells
there's one over
Kohl's
there.
products, that doesn't count.
But it's near there. It's on Junction Boulevard.
You guys really know there's a Kohl's? There's like a Kohl's and a Marshall within
There's
a
not
5-minute drive
not
where I
here.
live.
Not here.
Not
You
here.
not
don't
here.
live in the city.
We don't. I mean, we don't have the same
there's-
stores. We don't have.
They're in Brooklyn, they're Queens, they're not really
Got
in
Walmart.
Yeah,
Matt, we don't have
Walmart.
a Church's chicken or a Chirpin chicken.
There is a Popeyes though. There is a Popeyes. There's no Bojangles.
Now we do not have a chirping chicken.
Do you know?
And the
do you
Hardee's
know? Here,
closed.
give me on this. Do you know that Andrew tried to order 12 chicken sandwiches from Popeyes today, and they told him, "You want 12? Make them yourself." And he did, and they gave it to him for free.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a video
No,
somewhere. I
are you
swear to God.
serious?
They had 12 sandwiches in there and a bunch
Oh,
of
that's how
sides
Adam
of
got
fries. They had this
Oh my
giant
God.
bag of Popeyes chicken
He
sandwiches.
made them himself.
Yeah, he
Fuck
did.
yeah.
Get out of
Yo, we were
here.
trying to get some, man.
I've never been on
Couldn't
that
get it.
side. I've never been on that side of a fast food restaurant.
want one, man.
I imagine though.
Yeah, people.
the floors
You
are
saw the guy who
slippery.
got stabbed to
Of
death.
course. That's why they're always wearing Crocs and they're always sliding
You
around.
guys saw the guy who got stabbed to death for the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
No, but that does not surprise me.
Yeah, that was.
Yes.
Was
It
this
was
above
a
or below the
big-
Mason-Dixon line?
Below.
below.
It's him earlier.
Dixon.
Oh my god.
All right, what else do we have, guys? Give me something else, and then let's wrap up. Give me something else. I'll give you 5 more minutes.
What were we talking about?
What will we talk about?
What's
We're
the
talking about
benefits
rental.
of being a real estate agent?
What's the benefits of being a real estate agent?
What do you love about it?
Absolutely nothing unless you rock.
What do you love about it?
Because it's my life, man. You're drinking wine, just chilling out. You're a real estate
Still
agent.
the office.
All right?
Just
You're
ask
getting
the
exposure. Raj, remind me when we post this to make sure everybody's Instagram and LinkedIn is tagged below.
All right.
You're getting exposure. And this is work, man. People have questions. They want to know about SOX. They want to know about renter protection laws. They want to know about becoming a real estate agent. This is what
Socks, man. I don't know.
we do.
That's true.
This is, in my opinion, this is already, you got to face us.
But you've been doing it for like 12 years, right?
Gallant, I think this is the best job in the world because what your job is you meet people, you explore new places, and you make connections. I think being really good at this is actually the biggest part is making connections with people.
Yep.
right? Matt is somebody who just reached out to us on Facebook.
Matt's killing
right?
it in Charleston.
Matt and
I used to work with Matt.
Matt and I met in 2008. All right. You wanted to move to New York City
Yeah, 2014.
in 2000. What year did you want to move to
2014,
2000?
2015.
But what year did
2015.
you want to move to New York? You wanted to move in 2015.
Yep.
And Matt put us in touch.
Matt put, yep. And
That's the value of relationships. So, all right, Josh is sneaking out.
We have a couple
No, go for it.
comments.
All right, what do you got?
We have Matthew Farrow. He said, guys, great lesson. He said you guys added value, and for that reason you guys got paid. It directly correlates to real estate. So good job, everyone.
Are there any questions, though?
Matt Hoffman, our agent, he said that you guys are always an educator before salespeople. So,
Okay.
Jimmy Chu. How come Arthur and Zane are wearing the same shoes?
All right, Jimmy.
We're actually
Tell me
not
how.
there.
Hold on, hold on.
Totally
he's got
not.
mouth
Arthurs are
straps
so
on.
nice.
I got regular.
Wait, hold on,
Yeah.
hold up, though. Let me just ask Jimmy Chu. Let me ask Jimmy Chu. These guys don't know because they're guys. But Jimmy, can I get a discount code?
Raj.
This is not the Jimmy Chu.
Raj, no, it's not. It's Raj asking the question. But Raj said, question from Jimmy Chu.
All right.
You got so many legs.
Here, do me a favor.
I guarantee it's
Record this.
it's 10 times worse
Record
than
us because
Charleston.
you're not doing a thing. Just hit record.
Are we gonna have last cheers?
All right, ready?
Oh,
We're wrapping up right now.
You're giving me
Wrapping up.
more?
Yeah, just
Okay.
final cheers. Ready?
That's my hand.
All right. You got this, Matt?
Matt.
It's gone. It's
Yeah,
gone.
All right,
cheers,
cheers.
to Matt for not drinking.
Yeah, man.
Underage.
Being responsible.
All right, you guys close up. Thank you for joining us.
DiGiulio Group. Thanks for joining.
Watch the YouTube video.